The oppressive heat of an April afternoon in 1960 pressed down on Pantego, North Carolina, clinging to the thick woods that bordered U.S. Highway 264. State Highway Commission workers, their shovels biting into the earth. Unearthed not soil, but hidden secrets. A human skeleton, stark and silent, emerged from the tangled undergrowth. A chilling discovery that echoed a forgotten scream. The Beaufort County Sheriff's Office arrived, their official presence in stark contrast to the quiet horror of the scene. A skull, bone after bone, and the faded remnants of a print dress still clinging to a long-dead frame. They were carefully gathered, as well as a piece of canvas tarp, perhaps a makeshift shroud or a hasty cover. It lay nearby. The very next day, these skeletal fragments and meager clues began their journey to the anthropology department at UNC of Chapel Hill. Silent witnesses seeking a voice. For weeks, the bones held their counsel. Then on June 28th, 1960, a whisper of a name reached the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office. Ruth Allen, a black female, 35, missing from Wilson, North Carolina. The distance between Wilson and Pantego was significant, a journey that would have consumed a good portion of a day. This detail begs a chilling question. Why? Why Pantego? Was this desolate stretch of woods known to Ruth Allen? Or perhaps to her killer? Was the suspect, who met his own grim end in the Wilson County Jail just months prior, was he familiar with these hidden back roads? This secluded patch of woods so far from where Ruth vanished? The following day, an SBI agent and deputy sheriff retrieved the crucial evidence, print dress and the tarp, from Raleigh, North Carolina. And in the somber confines of the Wilson County Sheriff's Office, family members and friends, their grief palpable, positively identified the print dress. It was Ruth's. The circle of her tragic story began to close, though the questions of why and how she came to rest in the distant Pantego woods, well, they still lingered. A spectral presence in the humid air, the grim shadow of the suspect's demise by his own hand in July of 1959, just 13 hours after his arrest. Deepened the mystery surrounding the circumstances that led to Ruth Allen's body being abandoned so far from her home in Wilson. Her bones lay a mile west of Pantego, 100 yards off US 264, and about 60 feet from the road to Dewey Topping. A precise yet chilling testament to her final, lonely resting place. Sadly, Ruth Allen's body was never claimed by her family. It was a quiet Wednesday morning in Kinston, North Carolina, February 28th, 1996. 50-year-old Tommy Lee Walters had just stepped out of his home on Heritage Street. He wore a brown coat over a plaid shirt, brown pants, white shoes. Outside his car, a 1979 Chrysler station wagon, he waited patiently. It was faded black, brown paint, North Carolina tag, FRA 1921. Tommy got in, started the engine, and just like that, vanished. That's the last confirmed sighting of Thomas Lee Walters. His family, they'd said he had been struggling in the days before. Quiet, withdrawn, possibly depressed. But no one suspected he'd simply disappear. He left no note, took no luggage, and didn't tell a soul where he was headed. His car, it's never been found. No trace on back roads, nothing on logging trails, nothing by the ponds, the rivers, no hospital registries. It was as if man and machine dissolved into the Carolina night.
Tommy wasn't just any man. He walked with a steel rod in one leg, an old injury from years past. Not the kind of person who could wander far on foot. That made his sudden disappearance all the more baffling. To those who knew Mr. Tommy, he wasn't the type to just up and leave without a word. Some believed he might have gone off to clear his mind. Others whispered darker theories about things that might have happened that night behind closed doors or on quiet country roads. What really happened to Tommy Lee Walters after all these years? The questions haven't faded, they've only grown louder.
Over the years, the case has gone cold, but it's not forgotten. No dentals, no fingerprints, no DNA on file that we know of. Not even a lead. Just one man and a station wagon that rolled into the unknown. And it's time for answers.
If you know anything about the disappearance of Tommy Lee Walters, contact the Kinston Public Safety Department at 252-939-3160, because somewhere out there, the road he took still waits.
New Bern, North Carolina, September 4th, 1990. In the heart of town sits Cedar Grove Cemetery, where angels lean heavy over graves and moth-stained stones seem to whisper your name if you stay too long. It's where people say the weeping arch sheds red tears when it senses death coming. And it's where a boy named Curry Spivey was found dead, just steps from the wall. Just 15 years old, a twin, a brother, a son. Someone made from love and laughter, stolen by the dark just before the dawn. His sister Kareem, she says she felt it. Every cut, every wound. She lay in bed across the street from the graveyard, waiting for Curry to pick her up for their first day of high school. But that morning, only silence came. She says she heard him, really heard him, calling her name into the night. She thought it was just a dream. She thought she was just going crazy. But when morning came, Curry was gone. And by daylight, the graveyard, well, it held more than just ghosts. His body was found beneath the ancient trees of Cedar Grove, blood trailing from Howard Street to the cemetery wall. The town whispered, but no one truly spoke. Some claimed to have seen something, but most said nothing. The case was investigated again and again, but the silence grew roots, cold and deep, and no one was ever charged. Years have passed, decades. Kareem, she still waits, still remembers the voice in the dark. She still hears the echoes of her brother's name in the wind some nights. She's never stopped looking. They say the weeping arch cried that night, that a red-stained droplet hit the stone path as Curry crossed under it. And the old folks say if that happens, well, you're marked for death. But legends don't kill. People do. Whoever took Curry Spivey's life that night as he tried to return home from a party, well, they did so in a place where death already lingers, where the past sits right at the edge of the present. Maybe they thought the graveyard would keep their secret. Maybe it has. But secrets rot just like the bones beneath them. The cemetery hasn't forgotten. Neither has his sister. And neither should we. The biting chill of Christmas Day, 1956. It settled deep in the bones of Jones County, North Carolina, a cold mirror to the mystery stirring in Black Swamp. A deer hunter seeking life stumbled instead upon the scattered remnants of a death long past. Just a few human bones, bleached and silent, whispered secrets from the dark, still water. The Jones County Sheriff's Office, their breath misting in the frigid air, they retrieved what they could from the swamp's grasp. Just a handful of bones, some fragments of faded cloth. And 2 days later, the SBI joined in the grim procession, their boots sinking into the muck as they searched for more, for any clue that might speak to the identity of this forgotten soul. 18 to 39 years old, a white man, reduced now to bones and threadbare fabric. His name lost to the cypress knees and the whispering swamp grass. Seems no one knew his story. No one mourned his absence. No one laid him to rest in holy ground. His homecoming was not to a warm hearth and familiar faces, but to the cold, indifferent embrace of Black Swamp. His final rest, a nameless sorrow, etched in the very earth of North Carolina.
Havelock, North Carolina. The summer of '92 bled into August, thick and green and hot enough to make the very air ache. Folks mostly recall the way the sky hung low, bruised purple and copper at dusk, or the special stillness of the baseball field down by the tree line, where the shadows stretched long enough to swallow a man whole. That's where they laid eyes on her last, Camille Whalen. 25 years old, no fixed address, just a whisper of a woman carried on the currents of forgotten back roads. Her eyes, they say, held the soft, lost look of someone with nowhere in particular left to go. The earth claimed her beneath the stoop of an old oak, strangled and stabbed, left in the red clay like an unwanted secret meant only for the dust to keep. No living soul swore they'd seen her walk that ground before. No trucker, no local, no soul remembered offering her passage on that final sun-drenched day. But in Havelock, the very soil holds a memory deeper than any human heart. They say she drifted in from the shimmering, salt-kissed coast, perhaps trying to outrun a shadow. But the chance to flee was stolen, just as her breath was. The longing came, asking questions with hard, flat voices. Marines from the nearby base, their youth sharp against the languid heath, were made to stand accountable, but the trail, slick with the humidity and whispers, went cold before it ever knew the warmth of a fire. There were no witnesses to speak of, just the lengthening shadows of the pines in a silence so vast it felt like a presence. The season spun. Camille's name, once scrawled across newsprint, yellowed into oblivion in the courthouse's shadowed drawers. But her story, a silent lament, refused to die. It settled itself in the rusted bleachers, seeped into the cracked asphalt path behind the outfield, where the ground, even decades later, still feels unsettled, holding its breath. Then, from the grim depths of other states, a name rumbled forth, like distant thunder on a clear day. Darren Van, a man etched with shadows deeper than any pine grove. A Marine, once stationed close enough to hear the cicadas scream in Havelock. A monster now tied to horrors far from the southern coast. And the whispers began again, this time with a hungry cutting edge. Did he know Camille? Did he see her, a lone figure, walking that lonely road into the deepening twilight? The authorities, tight-lipped and grim, won't speak her name alongside his. Not yet. But her forgotten file has been pulled from the dust. Old photographs, faded with time, have been turned over by gloved hands. New tests run on things long buried, stirred from their slumber. Still, in Havelock, time drags slow as molasses, and the town's ghosts speak only in riddles woven from pine needles and the damp earth. Some old-timers swear that when the night's breath is still and the dim lights at the ball field flicker without cause, you can still hear the soft, scuffling footprints on the gravel behind third base. A faint hum, like a woman singing beneath her breath, forever waiting for a ride that in the end never truly came.